Okay, we are now a month in. We are now a month away before the presidential election. And so far, from all I've been seeing, I can honestly say Uncle JD has made his decision. Now, before I go any further, before I go any further, allow me to say this. What I'm about to say is based off of my decision and my decision only. Uncle JD don't speak for, and let me make this clear, Uncle JD is not speaking for everybody. I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not going to convince, persuade, attack, or embarrass people because of my decision. I mean, why be like retarded fucks like Faye Gimson, who wants to harass anyone who doesn't vote for what he wants to vote for? But that's neither here nor there. This is my decision only. All I can say is decide for who you want to decide for, rather than letting all these retarded fucks telling you who to pick. Because this is the reason why I'm making this video right now. And by the end of this video, I could give less of a fuck whose feelings I hurt. And if you do come at me, I will completely destroy you. That being said, let's get on with the video. Now, so far, and I still stand firm, I have no political side. And I still stand firm on it, even though some who claim that they don't have political side completely show that they do have a side. They've been had a side. And no, Uncle JD is not, how can I say this? Uncle JD isn't fooled. I could clearly see through the facades here of all these retarded fucks claiming that they have no political side. But every time I look at their content, guess what? It's clear to see that they have a side. They've been had a side this entire time. I ain't fooled by the shit. And so far, this whole entire presidential debate is one complete shit show. I mean, Ray Charles could see this shit. The back and forth, the tit for tats. Man, I ain't got no time for this shit. My main objective is, what can you do for the people? And how will you make this country better for the people? And so far, a whole lot has been revealed. Let's take a look at the economy. Shit is still high as fuck. Meanwhile, other countries come back later. Other countries is getting our taxpayer dollars while we still deal with inflation. And what's worse, look at Hurricane Helena. No, take a look at Hurricane Helena. Which presidential candidate showed that they are more that they are focused on getting the countries affected by Hurricane Helena back on their feet. Okay. But then I'm also looking at the war between Russia and Ukraine. And let me go ahead and just say this shit right here. One one presidential candidate is more focused on keeping the war going in a desperate attempt to get Ukraine into the United Nations. On the other hand, you have the other presidential candidate who's talking to both sides in the attempts to stop the war. Again, your decision. And if and if they're and if the supporters of one presidential candidate believes that their future president is in the lead, how come we're seeing all this dumb shit? How come we seeing how come we seeing that they'll do anything to stop the opposing candidate? Not one, but two assassination attempts. A desperate attempt, a desperate attempt to try to get their opposition out of the race. And they believe that shit is going to convince people not to vote for that opposition. Okay then. But then I see the supporters. But then I take a look at the supporters. And I can clearly see that it's a case of logic versus emotion. Some supporters are thinking logically, other supporters are no, how should I say this? You got some supporters who are voting logically, while other supporters are voting emotionally. And yes, throughout this entire ordeal, I decided to keep my silence, because while you got the news media, while you got these news outlets like CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, trying to tell you who you should vote for, you got the people who are studying both candidates, doing their research and making their own decision. Who you think I'm gonna who you think I'm gonna listen to? The biased news outlets, The View, or I'm gonna listen to the people? Believe me, the decision is not the decision is not as hard as you think. But then I'm also voting for the ones who has my best interest. And both sides made their interests, or one side made their interest known while the other wants to beat around the bush. And then I see this right here. Fellas, y'all see this? Yes, you got some retarded fucks who wants to vote for Kamala Harris because of their hopeless, desperate attempts to stop the manosphere. And when it all boils down to it, this is what it's really about. But then again, this is the same shit that they said about Joe Biden. Remember, Joe Biden was the one who was supposed to defeat the manosphere. How did that turn out? A total of 4 failed attempts. No, I'm not counting the other two because that was before his presidential election. 4 failed attempts under his administration. So now so now it's just the same old song and dance. However, however, a whole lot of things has come to light. Now now look at the situation. Now you got Kamala Harris supporters going around attacking anyone all because they're not voting for her, as if it's up to them to decide who you should and shouldn't vote for. And if I and believe me, some are also seeing that Kamala Harris supporters are willing to go to the ultimate level, all because you're not supporting their candidate. Then I see all the fear mongering, all the dumb conspiracy theories. Now, in an attempt, they trying to sabotage their opposition, even going as far as to try to interfere with the election. Which I will say, this shit ain't nothing new to me. I've been seeing this shit coming. Then you got supporters putting people on a. Then you got Kamala Harris supporters putting people on a side. Oh, if you ain't voting for Kamala Harris, then you voting for Trump. And suppose they turn around and vote for Trump. These will be the same retarded fucks that want to turn around and start boohoo, whining, and crying because you decided to vote for Trump. Well, what did you think was gonna happen? But then again, didn't I make that video a while back? Putting people on a side shall be their undoing. In which if you see the picture, that right there speaks volumes. Especially when it comes to the non-affiliates as well as the undecided. Oh, you're not voting for my candidate. That means you support the opposition. Boom. Boom. You put me on this. Okay, since you put me on this side, I'm going to vote for your opposition. Why are you voting for your opposition? That's their retarded fuck asses. And what did they expect would happen? While at the same time, they doing a major disservice for the candidate that they're going to vote for. Shouldn't they be convincing people why they should be voting, why they should vote for their presidential candidate instead of giving people a reason to vote for the opposition? Okay then. But I say all this just to say this. I'm now at the point to where I have finally made my decision. And for some of y'all, y'all already know where I'm going with this. And just because I'm going to vote for this presidential candidate doesn't mean I'm part of any political party. I'm going by what I'm seeing, what I heard, and the things that are happening, rather than going by the person's race, gender, or the fact that, oh, I'm voting for this person because I don't like because I don't like the opposite. I don't like that opposition. Or in this case, oh, I'm voting for this person because I want the manosphere, because I want to defeat the manosphere. I'm voting for the one who has the best interests, who has my best interests, as well as the people's best interests. Fuck the news outlets, fuck The View, fuck any of these motherfuckers trying to sit there and tell you who you should and should not vote for. It ain't up to them to tell you who you should and shouldn't vote for. That decision is up to you. Bottom line. And that's how it's supposed to be. And if anyone has a problem with that, in the words of DX, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. And I said what I had to say. I'm done and I'm out this bitch. Later.